Okay, today is May 19th, and here's a little garden update. You can see all the tomatoes are planted. These guys are really close together, I know, but every year I put a ton in this front bed right here, and they do fine. I do keep them nice and pruned up so they have plenty of airflow. We're just a little family of 3, so we're not trying to get like massive tomato production. So there is the Brandy Boy. You can see a ton of flowers on it. I still didn't take off this really big, huge flower here, so that's going to be a really weird tomato. And then we have German Johnson. You can see a flower on that. They are a little bent. The other night before last, we had a potential frost. I'm not sure if it did frost or not, but it was a frost warning. It got down to 36 degrees. So I had to come out here and cover everything. I covered all these with a sheet, and they got a little bent, but thank goodness they didn't break. And then we have a big rainbow there. There's a Cherokee purple, a Brandywine black, and then a little Dr. Witchies there at the end. I put that Dr. Witchies in probably about a month and a half ago, just to see how it would do through like the 40s, the weather, just cold temperatures, see if it would do any better than the ones that I kept in warmer temperatures indoors and in the cups, in the trays. And as you can see, it didn't help it at all putting it out early. The ones that were better taken care of are doing much better, much bigger too, but it'll catch up. I'm actually surprised that it's still alive, and that the bugs didn't devour it or a frost didn't take it out. And then we have the radish patch here. So many radishes. Can't believe I've never had this many. I know these seem planted close together also, but they'll be fine. There is a French breakfast radish. That's like the cylindrical shape. We have some more of those all through there. And then some early scarlet globe. We have the red globe right there. And then some white ones. So I've never had a white radish before. It's really cool. I wonder if it tastes any different. And I think I've said before, if you plant radishes when it's a little bit cooler out, as opposed to like planting them in midsummer when it's really, really hot, they're supposed to be less spicy in cooler temperatures. So we'll see. But yeah, the radish patch is looking great. It's actually a pretty nice size. And radishes are so easy to plant. You just direct sow them, and they take about 30 days, most varieties. So if you want something quick you can grow in the garden. And I believe they can handle a light frost. I'm pretty sure, like a lot of root crops, carrots, beets, turnips, radishes. So yeah, really easy to plant. But one thing, make sure that you have nice fluffy soil, because that taproot, which becomes like, you know, the root that you're going to eat, it needs to be able to spread out and get big, get large. And if you have really hard compacted soil, it's not going to be able to do that. So I made sure the soil was nice and fluffy, nice and just loose, so that they could get a nice root ball on them, which is what we'll be eating. And then you can see the Jolly Jester Marigold. Put that out here the day before yesterday. It's so small because it was left in the cell tray, like the little tiny cell tray, 72 cell seed tray. It should have been put out a while back, but I think that's why it's so tiny. But it's really pretty. I really like that color, the stripe. And then these are beets. This row that you see here, I did not thin those out. I don't know if they're going to do anything. This part of the bed, you can see I really didn't plant that much here. It just doesn't get a lot of sun. It's right next to the shed, and then there's a tree, big giant pine tree behind the shed, so everything in this area here never does great because it doesn't get a lot of sun. Also, when I thinned out these radishes, instead of just like throwing away the plants that I thinned out, I just like took a stick, made a little hole, and then put all of the extra plants that I had from thinning them out into another hole, and they all grew. So yeah, that's turning out really good. I'm so excited about that. Again, like I said, I've never had this many radishes, so it's really exciting. I have some black ones in there too. Never had a black radish. Hope that tastes good. You can see the artichoke doing pretty good. The bugs haven't devoured it too bad. Little hole here and there, but other than that, we'll see if I get any artichokes this year. And I'm mainly growing the artichokes for the flowers. If there are like any extra artichokes, maybe I'll try one. But I'm primarily growing this for the flowers because they make just the most beautiful, gorgeous flower I've probably ever seen. And they just get covered with bees on every video that I've watched of the flowers. Then we have a giant Belgium. So there's a tomato, tons of sugar snap peas. I think I have like 30 sugar snap peas planted. You can see the flowers on these guys. Look kind of like orchids. I don't know, they remind me of an orchid flower. Orchid. Doing really good. Down at the bottom, they did get a little bit of pest damage, but I trained them up and tried to get them up off of the ground because they were sprawling along the bottom of the bed and just getting tore up, as you can see. And then we have, this is an Ananas Noyer tomato, which means black pineapple. I did plant some of those last year, and we had such a terrible tomato year last year with all the humidity, all of the rain, just a bunch of disease, a bunch of leaf spot, blight, and we just didn't get a good tomato from that plant. So hopefully this year we'll get to try a nice one. And then we have some more Jolly Jester marigolds that I started from seed. I put them in the corner of each bed in the front. And then we have a pink oxheart tomato. And I planted a bunch of sugar snap peas right here also, but only one came up. But it is pumping out sugar snap peas. Pea pods. And these are so good, so sweet and crunchy and delicious. Probably one of my favorite things to eat in the garden, to just snack on. And then we have an early girl tomato, which should give us some tomatoes around July, the beginning of July. We have a volunteer dill plant, and then another one over here. It's hard to see because it blends in, but that's dill. I had a plant last year that dropped a ton of seeds. Then we have the ranunculus right here. This is the Persian buttercup. All of the ranunculus that I got from the Dollar Tree, I put those out front. It's south facing, it gets extremely hot, and they all baked and died. So I'm left with these guys, and I have about 9 of these. So there's 3 right here. We'll see what they look like. It's probably a little bit too hot for them, but I've never grown ranunculus, and I can't wait to see what the flowers look like. But yeah, check out this little guy. I love, love, love dill. Smells so good, tastes so good. Another Dr. Witchy's plant. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Dr. Witchy tomato plants. I've never had a Dr. Witchy's tomato. It's like a big slicer size yellow tomato, and yellow tomatoes are typically known to be less acid than your red or purple, darker type tomatoes, which I'm actually not a fan of. I actually prefer the red, acidic, like a nice balance of sweetness and acidity. So we'll see about the Dr. Witchies here. Probably won't like it, but I mean, we'll find something to do with it. My husband, he loves every tomato there is, so he'll be happy with it, whatever it tastes like. We have more sugar snap peas. Ton of sugar snap peas. And I went to, I believe it was Walmart not too long ago, and they had sugar snap pea plants for sale for like 3 or 4 for about $3. So yeah, if you can, I mean, just imagine, I have like 30 in the garden here, and do the math on that. It'd be pretty expensive buying all these plants. So if you can learn to grow from seed, it is so much cheaper, way cheaper than having to buy plants. And if you do want to buy plants, go to a nursery or a hardware store. They are so much cheaper than like the Bonnie plants. Yeah, they're just, I can't believe the prices of some of those. And then we have the Sun Gold cherry tomato here, the sweetest cherry tomato I've ever had in my entire life. These guys they didn't impress me last year at the beginning of the season, but as the season progressed and it got hotter, and when it gets hotter, the sugars concentrate more in the fruits and make them much, much sweeter. So if you weren't too terribly impressed with the Sun Gold, wait till the end of the season. They'll be way, way more sweet. We have another Jolly Jester Marigold. Another Sun Gold, has a bunch of flowers. More sugar snap peas. I think I've said sugar snap pea like 50 times already. Dr. Witchies, as I said. And then a big rainbow. So this, and we have 2 of these. So this is like a yellow, orange tomato actually. And when you slice it, it's like yellow inside with a pink center. Really, really beautiful. My husband has always been drawn to the orange, pinky orange tomatoes. And we've always wanted to try one of those. Again, they're probably, I think they're considered like low acid, like the Dr. Witchies yellow. But we'll see. Everybody says they're incredibly sweet. And the only other orange tomato that I've had is a Sun Gold, which is a cherry tomato, so I'm sure it probably will be sweet. More sugar snap peas. And then we have another Brandywine Black. Empty spot here. I still have to plant a bunch of cherry tomatoes. We have a spoon tomato, pink bumblebee, Isis candy cherry, blue cream berry, another one. Can't remember what it is. But yeah, I still have a ton of cherry tomato plants to get out in the ground. And then there's 2 Dr. Witchies plants. More artichokes there and there. There's my big foxglove I finally put in the ground. Another one over there. And then we have foxglove that I started in the winter sowing container. And Blue Better salvia. So this is the easiest way. I know I've said this before. If you want to start some perennial flowers from seed, do the winter sowing method in the milk jug containers. It is so easy. I'm so glad I did that. I'll probably start some more cone flowers. But all you do is just cut it in half, leave it attached to one side like I did here, fill it up with moist soil, and sprinkle the seeds on top, tape it up, and just leave it. And you can do this in like January, February, when there's still snow out on the ground. And I'm in an area, the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, and we get a good bit of rain, I would say. So I just watered them initially when I planted the seeds, and they did great. I didn't have to come out and water them, do anything at all whatsoever. But if you're in a more dry area, you might have to just give them a little bit of water through the top, like through the opening at the top once in a while. But other than that, just the easiest way to grow perennial flowers. So then we have the blanket flower over here, which I believe is also known as Gaillardia. Check that out. So gorgeous. Love these guys. And there's 2 of those. There's a bunch of buds starting to form here. A little bit of trash in the garden. And then I have a coneflower. So this one, if you watched my front flower bed video, this was the coneflower that was out front that was just getting decimated by what I believe to be earwigs. So I dug it up and brought it out here into the pollinator garden, and it still has a lot of damage, but it's doing much better out here. It's gotten a lot bigger. I've given it some fish fertilizer, which is like magic. It's greened up nicely. It's getting some new growth. So I think that this is gonna be fine. I'm hoping, but I think it's gonna be fine. And then the foxglove, as I mentioned, we have 4 ranunculus right here. And check out my coneflower, or echinacea. Look how big that is. So when and I know I always say this, I planted this from seed in 2021. And I just had it in a pot, like a planter. And there's probably like 6 to 8 plants there in that little mass. I didn't separate them out. I just left them all together. I'm so used to everything in the garden just being devoured by bugs. So I thought if I just planted like a mass of them, that at least one of them would survive. And it looks like all of them have survived. Because look how many stems, just huge stems. There's gotta be a ton of plants in there. But we'll see how it does. And let's see, there is the bud, the flower bud, which is really weird. It's all the way, so there's the top of the plant, and then it's all the way down here. Is that gonna get bigger and like come to the top? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm so excited about this. Been waiting for years. And then the Rose Marvel Yarrow. So you can see it's starting to get some buds on it. I know I say this every time also, but I just love this foliage. It's so soft and fluffy. And then we have the chamomile. So this chamomile was a volunteer, which means it was just a plant that I had last year. It dropped seed and came back on its own, and I did nothing but water it. I love volunteer plants. It's so easy. You just have to do nothing but water them, and they're already established and naturalized. So, but I noticed the other day when I was out here, but check out the buds. When I was out here, check this out. So the black dots that you see, those are actually aphids. And then the ants are farming the aphids. So the aphids are sucking the plant, the juices from the plant, and then they are excreting honeydew, which the ants are then eating. So they have like a symbiotic relationship, symbiotic. They look out for the aphids, protect the aphids, and the aphids feed them with their delicious excretions. Is that a word? So I'm gonna have to come out here and spray this off. But check it out, there's a ladybug back there. I hope I should take it and put it on this branch, because ladybugs are a predator to aphids, and they will take care of the aphids, but I don't know if the ants will attack the ladybug. So I don't think I've ever seen a ladybug in my garden. So that'll be really nice. I hope it has babies and they just spread everywhere. That would be great. You can see the lavender here starting to get some flowers. There's more ranunculus, another ranunculus, more lavender, a bunch of buds, and then the calendula that I never planted anywhere. I always get behind. There's always something in the garden that I forget to do. But I really need to get these planted before they get too big and they all start competing for light and outgrowing each other and killing each other off. So I'll find a spot to stick those. But that is the garden update. Let's see, there's three more tomatoes back here. So this is another early girl and a Dollar Tree beefsteak tomato. I don't really care about this tomato plant at all. I'm just planting this to show people that you can buy seeds from Dollar Tree and grow some nice tomatoes. So we'll see how those tomatoes turn out. And I also have some Dollar Tree cherry tomato seeds. So I have that plant growing. It's nice and big. We'll see how they turn out. And there's another early girl. So all together we're gonna have 4 early girl plants. And that is the update. So I'll make another video of all of the plants that I have in the trays, new flowers that I bought, and we'll do a little update in the garden again once I harvest some radishes and sugar snap peas, and I'll see you then.